Hey, it's TMBRMAN, and if you don't know anything about credit cards, how to use one, or you have this interpretation that they're a bad thing, you should cut them all up and throw them all in the trash. Well, I hope that I can convince, persuade, and educate you on the importance of leveraging credit, of using credit cards. And for someone that's brand new, you know nothing about credit because you haven't been taught, this video is for you, giving you the outlined information on how to start a credit card, how to build your credit, which will ultimately help your financial future. If you stumbled across this video and you have no idea who I am, my real name is Nate Halverson. I've been a carpenter with my own business for over 7 years now, but not just that, I'm an entrepreneur. I love to invest in real estate. I have my loan license, and I've really been all around construction, homes, on the buying side, on the renovating side, as a contractor and as an investor. And building credit and understanding credit cards and the importance of credit is something that I wish I learned early on in my career at a much younger age. I feel like I would have catapulted me to quicker success that I wasn't able to understand until I finally got the information that I needed. And the reason I'm making this video is because there's a lot of people, possibly like yourself, watching that were not taught about credit. Typically, schools are not going to teach you this, and if your parents didn't pass it down to you, then you don't have any knowledge of, well, how do I get a credit card? And I heard that credit cards are bad. And this guy named Dave Ramsey here says that I should just cut them all up and be debt-free and only buy things that I can afford. Well, while there's some truth to living in your means and buying what you can afford, there's a lot of leverage to credit, and credit can open up doors to purchase homes, to buy a car, to finance things that are assets that will actually make you more money. So I want to break this down into layman's terms, make it extremely easy for you to understand so that you can apply this to your life right now. So let's start with the very, very basics. What is an actual credit card? What is credit? Well, this is something that a bank or a financial institution is going to trust you with. They're going to give you a certain amount that they'll let you spend, but you have to pay that back, right? So let's just use these easy numbers and say they're going to give you a credit card for $1,000. Then that $1,000 technically you don't have, but you get to go spend it. You go out in the world and you get to shop. You get to buy things on someone else's dime, right? Using credit. However, you have to pay that back, or else you're going to pay interest. So as you pay things with a credit card, every month you're going to pay that back or pay the balance down. And I'll get into more detail about why it's important to keep your balance down on a credit card. But for layman's terms, credit is simply a financial institution giving you money that you haven't earned, that you don't technically own, but they're allowing you to use it to go out into the marketplace and spend it on services, on goods, and on assets. However, you will need to pay that back or at least keep a low balance. To the flip side of that, you always hear about people that have maxed out credit cards and they're taking money from a financial institution. They're spending the total limit because it's not their money and they need it to live, they need it for their necessities, and then they're not able to pay it back, thus having to have overdraft fees, having to pay high interest, fines, and penalties. And this is definitely not the way that you want to use credit. This will hurt your credit report, your credit score, and it will hurt you financially by not allowing you to be qualified for anything in the future. If you wanted to buy a house or buy a vehicle, that's going to detrimentally hurt your financial profile if you're maxing out credit cards. But to make this make sense, financial institution gives you a certain amount to spend that you then have a month to pay that back or pay it down. That's the easiest way that I can explain it. Now, I'm going to give you a real life story of how I got my very first credit card, because for some of you guys, you're thinking, well, I don't even have credit to get a credit card. And it's kind of dumb that, yeah, you need credit to get qualified for most credit cards. So there is a way that you can build credit with absolutely no credit, and that's called a secured credit line. Now, what this is you're going to go to your bank, your financial institution, and say, I'd like to apply for a secured credit line. And instead of them giving you an amount to spend, so instead of them saying, all right, I'm going to give you $1,000 that you can go spend, you're actually going to put up that $1,000. So you're going to give the bank $1,000 of your actual money, and you're going to borrow against your own $1,000. So you give them $1,000, they give you the secured credit line, you're going out and spending with the card and paying back yourself, in a sense, on that money that you've given them. And that's a secured line. Basically, the bank is saying, okay, you want to build credit, you want to play with us, how about we try our first dance with your money. Before we give you our money, let's see if you can be responsible and you can keep a low balance with your own money. Now, by doing that, you're actually still going to build credit. Your credit score will go up, and then the institution, the bank, will want to lend you more money. See, credit cards don't just stay at one amount. Once you build trust and once you're keeping a low balance and showing that you have financial responsibility, they'll increase your limit over time, and I'll explain why that's important. So here's a real life story of my life and what happened with my very first credit card experience. I was a freshman in college in Los Angeles at a school that I will not mention because it was an interesting time in my life. However, there was a bank called Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo was going around to the freshman orientation and signing these freshmen up for credit cards. And they say, at that time, they were saying, hey, just sign here and we'll give you this $700 credit card. I had no credit. I didn't even know what a credit card was. My parents didn't explain it to me. Schools didn't teach me. My friends weren't smart financially at the time. I was just a baseball player. That's all I cared about. So Wells Fargo signed me up for a $700 credit card. And what did I do as a freshman at college with no money and wanted to eat because I was an athlete? I spent all $700 at the cafeteria, like within a month, maybe less, but I spent it all on food because I was hungry. And I didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't understand how credit worked. And unfortunately, or fortunately, Wells Fargo got in trouble for doing that. It was predatory to young kids like myself at the time, and they put a stop to that. So that's good. But on the unfortunate side, I was one of those kids at the time that got screwed over. So right off the bat, my credit was in the tanks. I already had a delinquent account with Wells Fargo because I maxed this thing out and I could never pay it back. So that's something that you don't want to do. And because of that, I did have to go and get my very first secured credit line. It was the only way that a bank, financial institution, would give me any sort of card to build credit. So mine started with $300. I went to US Bank and I gave them $300 so that I could have a secured line and build credit, and that's exactly what I did. So the good news for you watching is if maybe you're in a similar situation, you're like, I don't even know where to start because my credit is so far in the dumps. You have no idea how many times I've been screwed over. Banks did this, people lie, and I have terrible credit. The good news is with as little as $300, like in my case, I was able to build credit. I was able to get a secured line, and I was able to move up in the financial ranks to put myself in a position to be much more successful. So let's fast forward now and say you've been making your payments on time, you've kept your balance low, the banks are now able to approve you for an actual credit card with a $3,000 limit. Well, that's great news. And that's something that I would definitely jump on. And there's different cards that banks offer. There's different credit card companies that always will pitch you on using their credit card for different reasons, cashback rewards, flight points, and I'll get into what I use. But this is good news. So now you've got out of the secured line and now you're moving into an actual credit card that a bank's giving you their money again to use in the marketplace that you're going to keep paying back. Now let's go over the importance of why you even want to use these credit cards and what credit is actually going to do for your financial snapshot, your financial future. See, most people, again, like me, didn't understand credit. And we always thought you just have to buy what you can afford. Go work 8 to 5, 9 to 5, go make your money. And if you don't have the money, then you cannot buy that. And that's how I was raised. And a lot of you people were raised the same way until I understood how credit works. So again, credit is a bank giving you money to go spend. Well, I didn't earn this money, but I get to go spend it. But remember, there's a trick to it. There's a catch. It's still not your money. You still need to pay that back. You still need to keep that balance low. And that way you get to build what's called a credit score. Now, a credit score is going to be a number that ranges from 350 to 850 that tells other financial institutions how reliable you are, how trustworthy you are with money. So this is a grading scale of, hey, you are someone that we trust and we're going to give this loan to, or you are not someone we trust because you haven't proven yourself to be financially responsible when other people have given you money. When this bank gave you money to use on this credit card, you never paid it back. You maxed it out. and you went and spent all that money on the cafeteria in college, you never paid us back, so your score has tanked. Other people are going to look at that, other institutions say, this is not a trustworthy customer, so we're not going to lend them anything. On the contrary, if you're someone that financial institution gives you money to borrow on a credit card, you go and spend it, however you pay it back every single month, that shows them that you're responsible, you're trustworthy, the money that wasn't yours you used, and you paid it back. Thus, other institutions are going to say, hey, this is someone that we trust with our money. So we'll give them this loan. We'll increase their limit because we know that they're responsible, they're mature financially, and they'll pay this back. Now there's even a bigger picture of where I'm going with all this and why a $300 secured line is something that's going to pay off later on in life as you go through your different credit options, is because when you want to buy assets, large assets like real estate, unfortunately you need good credit. Remember, people aren't going to loan on your house that you want to buy if you have a terrible credit score. And this, I've seen it. I'm a loan officer. I've seen people that want to buy houses and they're hindered by not having good credit. And I think to myself, man, I was in their shoes at a much younger age. I'm glad I'm at where I am now. However, some people are in their 40s, 50s, and they're still at that secured credit line. They still haven't even got past that stage. And again, that's motivation of why I'm making this video, so that no matter where you are in your life, you get through that secured line stage and you move up in your credit financial profile, so that when you go to buy your house with your wife, with your family, it's not embarrassing that I don't even have credit to do this. You can afford the deal, you can make great money, but if you don't have credit, a lot of lenders aren't even going to give you an option to buy that house. And that's just a shame. That's embarrassing that, hey, I've worked hard, I'm making money, but because of my credit score, these institutions are saying, we don't trust you. And that's why it's so important to understand what credit is, how to build credit, and how to actually start with something like a secured line and move your way up. And again, this is just one example through credit cards of how you can build credit. There's several ways you can build credit, but this is just one way and one easy way that anyone can get started doing, so that later on you can set yourself up to start buying real estate. And that's what I did. I bought real estate, and I've done it several times now, and I keep building my credit, and people and lenders trust my financial profile, which is why they'll lend. Another great aspect to getting to the point where banks will lend you on credit cards is the different cashback rewards or flight rewards that are associated with these cards. So again, I started with that secured line. I worked my way up to just a regular credit card, I think with like $1,000 or $1,500 limit. And now I'm up to, I have an American Express card that gives me flight miles, which is awesome because I love to travel. So the perks again of starting that secured line and working your way up is you can have a card like this that every dollar you spend, you're getting points. So I spend $10,000 over a period of time. Well, maybe that bought me a free flight that I would have had to pay for. So I get to use, I get benefits by using this card. And I've been traveling lately for free on my flights because of what that card has given me. Now remember, I would never be able to use that card had I not started with that secured line and worked my way up. Now, there's other cards besides just flight, you can get cash back, but the point is you're getting rewarded for good credit. You're getting rewarded for good behavior financially, and that's an awesome thing to be able to do. So let's review this video so that as you end watching this, you know exactly what you've gained knowledge-wise and what you're going to do and why. So remember, the point is to understand what credit is and how it'll benefit you, why you even want to use it and leverage it. If you have no credit at all, the first thing you're going to do is start with a secured credit line. Basically, you're borrowing against your own money. After you've gained trust financially with institutions and banks, they'll give you one of their cards, which means they're giving you their own money to go use in the marketplace. However, you want to pay that back every month. A lot of people will tell you to keep your balance at 30% or less. That's great advice. I always just pay mine off every single month. That way I'm not paying any added interest on whatever balance is left over. So my advice to you, whatever limit you get, whether it's on your secured line or your first institution card, so whatever you're spending, just pay that down. Another trick that they'll tell you is don't spend more than 30% at a time. So if you have a $1,000 limit, don't spend $1,000, spend $300 or less. Again, this just shows that institutions, hey, just because you have the money doesn't mean you're going to go out and spend it. This is again building the trust with your financial profile and your financial maturity. The third thing that building credit is going to open up doors to buy assets. Again, once you get to the point in your life that you want to buy things that'll make you money like real estate, you need credit. Lenders are going to look at this and see if you're financially responsible to get a loan of this great value. So starting from a secured line to owning real estate that pays you money with appreciation over time, there's a lot to do here. If you don't understand how to do it, you'll never get there. And I hope that you've learned at least something. And if you have, leave a comment down below, because I'd love to hear the success story. I'd love to hear where you're at in your financial journey, or if you have more questions about, hey, how do I get from a secured line up to where I can buy real estate? There's a lot in between there, and I'd love to answer any questions you have. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Again, you're watching Timberman TV. Hope you guys have a great day. See you next time.